Chapter 749. The others all coughed lightly one after another. Damn it, it was a rare sight. Who said that Lu Tingxiao was heartless? That was because he hadn't met anyone who could soften his heart. She was getting more and more curious. What was the charm of this little rabbit? How could she charm a man like Lu Tingxiao like this? She naturally noticed that the surrounding people were feeling sorry for Lu Tingxiao, as well as a cold gaze falling on her from beginning to end. She glanced at Guan Ziao from the corner of her eye. Then she rested her chin on her hand and asked Lu Tingxiao, "What's your relationship with Guan Ziao?" "Our families were close when we were young. We grew up together," Lu Tingxiao answered honestly. She drawled, "Oh, you two are childhood sweethearts?" Lu Tingxiao nodded. "Sort of." She was furious. "Hey, Lu Tingxiao, I'm jealous, can't you see? You don't even know how to coax me. How dare you say it?" Lu Tingxiao was stunned. "Are you jealous? Of course, your friends, brothers, and cousins all think that you are a good match for Guan Ziao. They think that you are a beautiful flower stuck in a pile of cow dung." She mumbled. She hadn't thought about it before, but now that she thought about it, she finally remembered who this Guan Ziao was. The Guan family used to be as famous as the Lu family in the capital. Later, they had to turn to the overseas market because of some problems in the domestic business. It was said that they had made a comeback in recent years. Guan Ziao, in particular, had many legends about her. She was a talented woman, a beauty, and a woman who was not inferior to men. She was indeed a good match for Lu Tingxiao. Immersed in the surprise brought by Ningxi's jealousy, Lu Tingxiao stared at her and said with a smile in his eyes, "How can you be cow dung? You are the sea and the forest." She tilted her head and didn't understand. "Why?" Lu Tingxiao tucked a strand of her hair behind her ear. His deep eyes were like stars. He said quietly, "I love you like a whale diving into the sea, like a bird diving into the forest. It's inevitable. There's no way back." In an instant, she felt as if thousands of fireworks had exploded in her mind. The great demon king's whisper of love skill was too savage. At this time, a sudden ear-piercing sound came from not far away. The teacup in Guan Ziao's hand accidentally fell to the ground. Lu Xinyan asked with concern, "What's wrong, Sister Ziao?" Guan Ziao shook her head with a pale face. "Nothing." They couldn't hear the conversation between Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi from this distance. However, she could read lips and was paying attention to their conversation. Like a whale diving into the sea, like a bird diving into the woods, Lu Tingxiao actually said such words to such a woman. Mo Lingtian didn't notice the undercurrent between them. After resting for a while, he walked to Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi. "Hey, Lu Tingxiao, we're going to the shooting range to shoot a few times. Do you want to join us?" "Shoot. Shoot. Bang, 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 bang." Ningxi's eyes were almost as bright as 500-watt light bulbs. He couldn't ride a horse with a leg injury. "Is it okay to just use your hands to shoot?" Okay, I know. I shouldn't have asked you." Mo Lingtian turned to Ningxi again. "Little rabbit, do you want to go?" Ningxi nodded like a chick pecking rice. Her eyes were shining as she shook Lu Tingxiao's sleeve. "My dear master, can I go?" Lu Tingxiao, "Okay." Chapter 750. After arriving at the place, Ningxi was quite surprised. She didn't expect the nearby shooting club to be so large, with an area of more than 1,500 square meters. There were 2 standard multipurpose shooting ranges, each equipped with 9 professionally designed shooting lanes, and a full range of firearms. There was also a small arms exhibition hall in the shooting range, displaying hundreds of small arms such as pistols, rifles, machine guns, and so on. Occasionally, he would see a few soldiers in military uniforms playing here. Ningxi looked left and right without paying attention to the road. If Lu Tingxiao hadn't been holding her hand, she might have hit her head on a pillar. Lu Tingxiao's cousin said that Lu Tingxiao spoiled her, and she was right. Now she was so spoiled by Lu Tingxiao that she basically didn't use her brain when she went out. Anyway, she just needed to be a pet and follow him obediently. When they arrived at the shooting range, Mo Lingtian immediately picked a gun and looked as if he wanted to avenge himself. Xiao, come on. Let's PK. I lost to you in horseback riding, but I can't lose to you in shooting. Count me in. Me too. Mo Lingtian's group consisted of more than a dozen people. Half of them were male and half 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 were male and female. Soon, everyone picked their guns, put on goggles and headphones, and stood in front of the shooting lane, ready to shoot. The next second, with the sound of bang bang bang, everyone's score appeared on the scoreboard in front of them. The full score of each shot was 10 points, and the scoreboard was accurate to 1 decimal place. Most of them hit 8 or so rings, and occasionally a few of the more proficient men hit 9 or so rings. Lu Xinyan got 92 points at once, and she was very happy. I actually got more than 9 points. I'm so lucky today. However, when she turned around, she found that Mo Lingtian and Guan Xiao's scores were even more amazing. Mo Lingtian and Guan Xiao got the same number of points. Both of them got 99 points, which was already a very high score. Wow. Brother Tian, Sister Xiao, you two are so awesome. Finally, the scores of all 3 shots were out. Mo Lingtian got 99 points, 97 points, and 98 points. Guan Xiao got 299 points and 197 points. She was ahead of Mo Lingtian by 0.1 points. At the same time, Guan Xiao's score was the highest among all of them. The people around her were all amazed. As expected of my goddess. That's awesome. Xiao, how can we men endure this? Mo Lingtian's face was full of resentment. Damn. He actually lost again. This time doesn't count. Again. Everyone burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. Mo Lingtian, stop struggling. Out of all of us, I think only Brother Xiao can beat Xiao. Mo Lingtian turned around to look for Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao. What are you doing? Come and play with us. In the end, the rabbit ears on Ningxi's snow boots had fallen off, and Lu Tingxiao was squatting there to help her put them back. Looking at the scene full of pink bubbles, Mo Lingtian's mouth twitched incessantly. It was really a scene of torturing dogs. Ningxi listened to their conversation and looked at Lu Tingxiao in surprise. Boss, are you good at shooting? Come, let's PK. After that, she excitedly pulled Lu Tingxiao to the front of Papa Dao. Yo, little rabbit, you know how to shoot too? Mo Lingtian raised his eyebrows in surprise. Ningxi snorted. Of course I know. I'm very good at shooting. After that, she picked up the gun and shot with a bang. A moment later, a bright red 63 points appeared on the scoreboard. That was really good. Chapter 751. Looking at the terrible number of points, Ningxi was immediately dumbfounded and said with a sad face, "It must be my clothes today that affected my performance." Mo Lingtian laughed on the spot and comforted her. Not bad at all. At least you hit the target. Lu Tingxiao rubbed the girl's head and shot a shot himself. 62 points. It was a little lower than Ningxi's. Mo Lingtian patted Lu Tingxiao's shoulder, shook his head and sighed. Bro, I'm convinced. This is probably the most difficult score you've ever scored in your life, right? Lu Tingxiao actually scored 62 points. This was even more shocking than his score of 10 points. Ningxi ignored Mo Lingtian's teasing and rubbed against Lu Tingxiao happily. Boss, you're so nice. Lu Tingxiao was about to speak when his cell phone rang. It was the landline number of the old mansion. Lu Tingxiao frowned and then turned to Ningxi. You play. I'm going to take a call. Then he winked at Mo Lingtian, motioning for him to take care of Ningxi. Mo Lingtian waved his hand disdainfully. That's enough. It's just a phone call. Let's go. As soon as Lu Tingxiao left, those who had scruples because of Lu Tingxiao's presence began to talk louder. Pu. I'm dying of laughter. The girl who doesn't even know how to shoot got 7 points. How can she say she's good at it? Lu Xinyan was speechless. A girl next to her shrugged and said, it's not bad for her. At least she didn't miss the target. I'm surprised that she could hit the target. How on earth did Lu Tingxiao fall in love with such a good-for-nothing woman? I'm really curious. Can any of you go and ask around? I won't go. I'm just polite to her for Lu Tingxiao's sake. How can I take the initiative to get close to her? I'm more like a fool. Ningxi listened to those people's discussion and continued to wipe the handle of her gun calmly. These people were the most noble heirs in the circle of the capital. They were either the heirs of a tycoon or the princesses of a high-ranking official's family. Because of Lu Tingxiao, it was already good enough for them to be polite to her. In any case, if people don't offend me, I won't offend them. At this time, someone looked at Guan Xiao and said, Xiao, you and Mo Lingtian have a good relationship with brother Xiao. If you have time, try to persuade him. Don't let him be fooled by such a woman. Time reveals a man's heart. I believe he will understand it himself, Guan Xiao said. Why are you so stupid? By the time he realizes what's going on, he'll have already been cheated of his money. Lu Xinyan's face was burning as she listened to everyone's conversation. She felt so embarrassed. She really couldn't accept it no matter how hard she tried. The cousin who was as perfect as a god in her memory was actually tainted and deceived by such a woman. In extreme anger, Lu Xinyan finally couldn't hold it in anymore. She got up and walked to Ningxi. She said angrily, I don't care how you seduced my brother. Say it. What do I have to do for you to leave him? When Mo Lingtian saw that the situation was getting out of control, he hurriedly ran between the two of them to smooth things over. Hey, what are you doing? What was going on? Everyone came out to have fun. It's not good to quarrel. Stop fooling around. I'm not messing around. Which part of this woman is worthy of my brother? On the other side, Mo Lingtian was busy persuading Lu Xinyan. Ningxi touched the gun in her hand and blinked innocently. Then, she said innocently, leave your brother? It's very simple. You just have to defeat me. Chapter 752. What did you say? Defeat you? Lu Xinyan was dumbfounded and didn't understand what Ningxi meant. Mo Lingtian was also stunned. Ningxi blinked her eyes and said with an innocent expression, shoot. I don't think you guys like me very much tilde, so, how about this? No matter who you are, as long as you can beat me in shooting, I'll break up with Lu Tingxiao tilde, but if I win, please be polite to me when you see me in the future tilde, haha. Didn't all of you want to save Lu Tingxiao from the fire? Okay. I will give you a chance. Hearing Ningxi's words, everyone on the spot was stunned. What did this woman just say? Was she crazy? It was not easy for her to climb up to Lu Tingxiao and do what all the women in the capital couldn't do. Now, just because of a moment of impulse, she actually broke up with Lu Tingxiao as a bet. They had thought that these small celebrities were very tactful and knew how to read people's expressions. If they had the slightest bit of intelligence, they would not look for trouble. Unexpectedly, she turned out to be a brainless one. She was so stupid. They really felt sorry for Lu Tingxiao. Mo Lingtian never thought that things would develop to this point. He was almost crazy. Little rabbit, what are you doing? Bear with it. When Lu Tingxiao comes, you can act coquettishly and let him vent his anger for you. Why do you have to do this? Do you really want to break up with Lu Tingxiao? Are you stupid? Others didn't know, but Mo Lingtian was very clear that Lu Tingxiao didn't play around. He really cared about this little girl. Although he didn't understand what was so special about this little girl, since it was his brother's choice, he had nothing to say. Lu Xinyan finally digested Ningxi's words and couldn't believe it. How could this woman be so stupid? She thought it would be difficult to deal with her. It was too easy to solve, wasn't it? Are you serious? Lu Xinyan was worried and confirmed with her again. Yes, really. Ningxi nodded. Okay, that's settled. Let me tell you, I have recorded what you said just now. Don't try to deny it. Lu Xinyan looked proud. Then let's start. Ningxi suddenly said, wait. What? Are you regretting it? Lu Xinyan's face darkened. I'm just explaining again. What I said just now was that any one of you can beat me. So, pick one of you to compete with me. Ningxi said. I know, I will compete with you. Lu Xinyan obviously did not put her in her eyes at all. A pretty face who got 63 points, it was more than enough for him to beat her. You'd better think carefully. I advise you to send your best fighter to compete with me. Otherwise, don't say it's unfair. Ningxi's words made everyone speechless. Where did this idiot woman's confidence come from? Lu Xinyan looked impatient. Just when she was about to say that she could do it, Guan Xiao walked over and pressed on her shoulder. Xinyan, let me do it. Lu Xinyan looked at Guan Xiao and frowned. Sister Xiao, you don't need to deal with this kind of person. You think too highly of her. Guan Xiao said lightly, it's better to be safe. Lu Xinyan thought about it and felt it made sense. It would be bad if there was an accident in such a good opportunity. Besides, she wanted Guan Xiao to do it herself. Sister Xiao was the most qualified person to teach this idiot woman a lesson. Chapter 753. Mo Lingtian was anxious. After all, he had just promised Lu Tingxiao that he would take care of Ningxi. He didn't care about Lu Tingxiao's excessive nervousness. He didn't expect that Lu Tingxiao just went out to make a phone call, and the little girl could make such a scene in just a few minutes. No, that's ridiculous. Mo Lingtian had to stop her. Guan Xiao glared at Mo Lingtian and said, Lingtian, don't get involved in this matter. How can I stay out of it? Xiao, this girl is not sensible. Don't make trouble, Mo Lingtian advised. Then Ningxi curled her lips and said discontentedly, she's not sensible. I'm serious. At this moment, Mo Lingtian just wanted to bang his head on the ground. Damn it. Let me die. I've been trying my best to speak for you, but this girl is still courting death. The woman that Lu Tingxiao fancied was indeed hard to understand with a mortal's way of thinking. Brother Tian, as you can see, she was the one who suggested this from the beginning. None of us are messing around. This is a matter between us women. Stay out of it. Lu Xinyan was afraid that Mo Lingtian would ruin it, so she hurried to pull him aside. For a moment, except for Mo Lingtian, who was burning with anxiety, everyone looked like they were watching a good show. However, it seemed that there was nothing interesting to watch, because the result was too obvious. I think no matter how stupid this woman is, she can't be so stupid. Is she pretending to be weak? Someone murmured hesitantly. Puff. How could she pretend to be weak? Even if she made a mistake just now, so what? Now, it wasn't Lu Xinyan, but Guan Xiao herself. I'm afraid that Guan Xiao didn't use her full strength when she was fighting with Mo Lingtian just now. That's right. This woman is going to be struck by lightning. You first Tilda Ning, she said. Guan Xiao didn't say much. She directly put on the goggles and headphones, and then raised the gun neatly and aimed at the target in front of her. The woman's posture was very standard. She must have practiced for many years. Lu Xinyan glanced at Ningxi and snorted, you're really reckless. Sister Xiao has been playing with guns for almost 10 years, and you still dare to play tricks in front of Sister Xiao. Sister Xiao, you can do it. Guan Xiao closed her eyes and took a deep breath, as if she was preparing her emotions. Even though Ningxi seemed to be vulnerable on the surface, she couldn't allow any accident to happen to Lu Tingxiao. At this moment, everyone was holding their breath, not daring to make a sound. Lu Xinyan also quieted down, not daring to speak. On the side, Ningxi leaned on the table, propped her chin up, and yawned. After a while, Guan Xiao finally opened her eyes again. The next second. Bang, 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 3 gunshots rang out in succession. After the gunshot, everyone rushed over to see Guan Xiao's score. In the end, everyone was stunned by what they saw. First round, 99, second round, 10, third round, 10, he actually scored 99 points and 2 full 10 point. That's amazing. That's comparable to the professional level in the army. My God. Sister Xiao, you're so awesome. You're so awesome. You're my idol. Lu Xinyan was very excited. Chapter 754. Even Mo Lingtian was dumbfounded. Damn it. Guan Xiao, you're such a beast. Do you have to do that? In order to make Ningxi leave Lu Tingxiao, she even gave such a high score. If he remembered correctly, it was the first time that she had given such a high score. Thinking of this, Mo Lingtian's face darkened and he took a deep look at the woman holding the gun. Although people always liked to put Guan Xiao and Lu Tingxiao together, he knew that they were just friends for so many years because he was familiar with them. However, after Guan Xiao returned to China, he suddenly became uncertain. Guan Xiao's attitude towards him was developing in a direction that he didn't want to believe. Xiao, you're amazing. How did you do it? You're amazing. Everyone was amazed. At the same time, when they looked at Ningxi, they were naturally waiting for a good show. They wanted to see how this woman would deal with it. Lu Xinyan walked up to Ningxi like a victorious rooster and said proudly, "Did you see that? One of them has 99 points and two of them have 10 points. What else do you have to say?" Ningxi looked up and glanced at her. "I have nothing to say." "Humph, that's good. Remember what you said. Break up with my brother. We have so many witnesses." Lu Xinyan wasn't afraid that Ningxi would go back on her words. She didn't believe that Ningxi would be so thick-skinned. If Ningxi went back on her words this time, she wouldn't be able to survive in Lu Tingxiao's circle in the future. Mo Lingtian's face darkened. "It's just a game. Don't take it too seriously. You can't talk about breaking up." Lu Xinyan stamped her feet angrily. "Brother Tian, what's wrong with you? You've been defending this woman." Guan Xiao also frowned and looked at Mo Lingtian unhappily. Mo Lingtian gritted his teeth and ran up to Ningxi. "Tell everyone that you're just joking. Do you really want to break up with Lu Tingxiao?" Ningxi curled her lips. Of course not. If she wasn't Lu Tingxiao's woman, Mo Lingtian would have given her a good scolding. He suppressed his anger and said, "Now that you know not to think about it, what were you doing earlier? I tried to persuade you just now, but you didn't listen to me. That's good, isn't it? Hey, you can't go back on your word once you've agreed. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you in the future. How can a shameless person who goes back on her words be qualified to be my sister-in-law?" Mo Lingtian complained about Ningxi as he tried to come up with a solution, but Lu Xinyan still didn't give up. The scene was a mess. In the next second, everyone suddenly fell silent. Lu Tingxiao was back. After seeing Lu Tingxiao, Lu Xinyan's eyes lit up. She went up to him and said quickly, "Big brother, this woman just made a bet with us. She said that if we beat her in shooting, she would break up with you. She had already lost to Sister Zi Yao. I lost you. This woman actually used you as a wager. She's simply too much." "What?" Lu Tingxiao's face turned cold after hearing Lu Xinyan's words. "Ah, it's over. Why do I get caught every time I do something bad?" Ningxi's face was full of bitterness. She had been watching Lu Xinyan and the others jumping around lazily, but now she hurriedly stood up and shot 3 shots at the target behind her without even looking at it. Bang, bang, bang. Then she threw the gun away and threw herself into Lu Tingxiao's arms. She blinked and raised her little head, saying fawningly, "How could I lose you?" As soon as he finished speaking, the scoreboard behind him rang with a ding. On the scoring device, the following words were written: 10 point. 10 points. 10 points. Chapter 755. The little girl looked at him with sparkling eyes as she said, "Lu Tingxiao, am I awesome? Praise me, praise me, praise me." Lu Tingxiao's face was gloomy. She had gotten herself into trouble time and time again, yet she still wanted him to praise her. "Yes, you're awesome," Lu Tingxiao said. All right, he still couldn't resist the girl's expectant eyes for praise, looking at Ningxi's scoring machine with 3 tens, and Guan Xiao's scoring machine with 199 and 2 tens, Lu Tingxiao pinched his eyebrows. This lass was really bold. However, even with such a temper, he was extremely fascinated. Just now, when she fired 3 shots and threw herself into his arms to coax him to say, "How could I lose to you?" his heart was pounding uncontrollably. Sigh, really, she had him in the palm of her hand. In order to increase the entertainment, the scoring machine in the shooting club had some special settings. For example, when she scored 3 tens in a row, there would be celebratory music, and it would also announce to the audience that a certain shooting range had scored full marks consecutively. Therefore, when Ningxi fired 3 shots without even looking, there was a burst of celebratory music and announcement. Not only Lu Xinyan, Mo Lingtian, Guan Xiao, and the others, but the other guests in the shooting range were also alarmed. The setup of this shooting range was very professional, and it used real guns and bullets. Usually, most of the people who came here were shooting enthusiasts or even people from professional armies. Under such circumstances, The probability of encountering 3 consecutive 10 points was very small. It was something that could only be encountered by chance. One could imagine what kind of uproar Ningxi's 3 tens had caused. When Guan Xiao scored that high score just now, they were stunned. Now that they saw Ningxi's score, they were completely dumbfounded. Mo Lingtian looked as if he had seen a ghost. What? Are you fucking kidding me? Guan Xiao's face was blank, as if she couldn't accept this result. Lu Xinyan rushed over and hugged the scoring machine. How could it be? Is there a problem with the scoring machine? There must be a problem. Where's the person in charge of the club? Let him come and see this machine. Ningxi rolled her eyes speechlessly, picked up the gun again, and fired 3 more shots. A few seconds later, the celebratory music sounded, and the loudspeaker in the stadium announced again, shooting field number 2, track 9, 10 rings, 10 rings, 10 ring. Mo Lingtian, Lu Xinyan, Guan Xiao. If those who heard the broadcast just now were exclaiming that a powerful person had come to the club, they were basically dumbfounded now. Fuck. What was going on? Which immortal was this? Was he here to challenge the dojo? Even an extremely skilled professional would not be able to consecutively hit 10 rings with 3 consecutive shots in such a short period of time. At this moment, there were already quite a few people who couldn't sit still. One after another, people ran over, wanting to see who exactly was this person. Hey, you guys are also here to see who the person on the radio is? Yes, yes. Too awesome. Could it be that he's from some army? I don't know. On the 9th target, there seems to be only a little girl in a pink dress standing there with a gun. Did that guy finish shooting and leave? Just as everyone was feeling suspicious, a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s suddenly walked over from behind. Although he was dressed casually, his posture was straight, and his face was cold. He was accompanied by a young soldier. Go and ask who fired those shots just now. The middle-aged man ordered the soldier beside him. A strange light flashed in his cold and resolute eyes. Yes, sir. Chapter 756. It was another 3 consecutive shots of the 10th ring. Mo Lingtian swallowed his saliva with difficulty. He looked at the little white rabbit's expression as if the little white rabbit had suddenly turned into a prehistoric giant beast in front of him. While he was panicking, he suddenly heard someone calling him from behind. Young Master Mo. Young Master Mo. Mo Lingtian turned his head and saw a young soldier in uniform. He looked a little surprised. Hey, aren't you Uncle Zhuang's guard, Xiao Chen? Yes, yes. Xiao Chen nodded hurriedly. What's wrong? What's the matter? Mo Lingtian asked. Well, I have something to ask you. Young Master Mo, have you been here the whole time? Xiao Chen asked. Yes, I've been here the whole time. That's great. Do you know who shot the 10th ring on the 9th target just now? Xiao Chen asked hurriedly. Mo Lingtian suddenly raised his eyebrows and showed a look of understanding. It turned out that he was here to ask about this. Of course I know. Look, it's the girl in front. Mo Lingtian said, looking like he was watching a good show. Girl? Xiao Chen immediately showed a look of surprise when he heard that. Mo Lingtian nodded calmly. Yes. You're already so shocked when you know it's a girl. When you know which girl I'm talking about, won't you be scared to death? Which lady is it? The one in black. Xiao Chen looked around the crowd and asked Guan Xiao. Mo Lingtian smiled. Wrong. The girl wearing a pink skirt, a white down jacket, and a pair of bunny ears snow boot. Pink skirt, white down jacket, bunny ears snow boots. As Xiao Chen said that, he fixed his eyes on a girl who was snuggling up to a tall, cold-looking man. Then, he looked at Mo Lingtian, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Young Master Mo, don't play with me. The chief personally ordered me to come and inquire about this. Don't joke with me. Who's playing with you? Mo Lingtian paused. Your chief is here today? Yes, he came here to entertain a few friends. When he heard the broadcast on the radio, he left everyone behind and ran here. I haven't seen him so excited for a long time. Xiao Chen looked helpless. Mo Lingtian subconsciously glanced behind him and saw a burly middle-aged man standing there with his hands clasped behind his back. Who is it? Young Master Mo, please tell me. Was it the man beside the girl in the pink dress? Isn't that the president of the Lu group, Lu Tingxiao? Xiao Chen asked curiously. Mo Lingtian smiled mysteriously. Didn't I tell you? It's that little white rabbit. With that, he patted Xiao Chen's shoulder. I'll go greet your bureau chief. Xiao Chen stood there speechlessly, subconsciously turning his head to look at the cute little girl. How could that be? If that little white rabbit could hit the 10th ring with 6 consecutive shots, he would be able to join the Snow Leopard Commando team. Mo Lingtian walked up to the middle-aged man and greeted him enthusiastically. Uncle Zhuang, long time no see. Lingtian, are you here to play with your friends? Yeah. Uncle Zhuang, I heard from little Chen that you are looking for someone? Yes. The middle-aged man nodded and glanced at him. Do you know him? Of course I do. Mo Lingtian said, pointing in Ningxi's direction. It's the little girl beside Lu Tingxiao. Do you see him? I just told Xiao Chen, but he didn't believe me, so I had to come and tell you myself. Chapter 757. That little girl? The middle-aged man pondered and asked, how old is she? What does she do? Is she in school? What does her family do? Mo Lingtian's mouth twitched. Uncle Zhuang, what are you trying to do? Although you have a son, isn't Xiao Guang only 18 years old? Isn't it too early for you to find a daughter-in-law? The most important thing is, this little girl already has a boyfriend. She's Lu Tingxiao's girlfriend. Lu Tingxiao has a girlfriend. The man's expression froze. No one knew what he was thinking. Yes, we just started dating. Mo Lingtian nodded. The man looked thoughtful. After a while, he said, Lingtian, help me ask that little girl if she's interested in joining the army. Phut. Mo Lingtian almost spat out his saliva. So that's what he's thinking. But that's even more impossible. Mo Lingtian immediately said, Uncle Zhuang, don't even think about it. Lu Tingxiao spoils her like she's his apple. He's afraid that she'll get tired and has to carry her when she walks. He's also afraid that she'll fall when she rides a horse. He even tells me to take good care of her when he goes out to make a phone call. How is it possible for her to join the army? Besides, she's just dressed up to look young. She graduated from university long ago and is now an actress. So, the possibility of her joining the army is basically zero. When the middle-aged man heard this, a look of regret appeared on his face. What a pity, Mo Lingtian was speechless. His dad had said that Zhuang Liaoyuan couldn't move once he saw someone who was good at shooting. It seemed that it was true. He even wanted to poach Lu Tingxiao's girlfriend. While Mo Lingtian was talking to Zhuang Liaoyuan, Ningxi picked up her gun again. Thus, Zhuang Liaoyuan immediately stared in the direction of the girl. Bang, 6 rings bang, 3 rings bang, 3 rings bang, 2 rings. Ah! Mo Lingtian looked at Ningxi's messy shots. His eyeballs almost fell out. That's not right. Uncle Zhuang, I'm not lying to you. She really shot 10 rings 6 times in a row. Maybe her performance wasn't stable. She also got a score of 6 a few times before. Damn. Was this lass playing with him? What the hell was this fight? She almost gave him a heart attack. However, Zhuang Liaoyuan didn't seem to care at all. Instead, his eyes became brighter and brighter as Ningxi fired one shot after another. After the last shot, Zhuang Liaoyuan couldn't help but laugh out loud. Interesting. This young lady is really interesting. Mo Lingtian, on the other hand, was confused. How was that interesting? Why couldn't he tell? Just as he was looking over, he saw that after Little White Bunny was done with the fight, she scooted over to Lu Tingxiao's side with a fawning expression. She even made a heart sign with her little hands and said to Lu Tingxiao, I know I was wrong. Salang, hey yo, Lord Boss tilde fuck. It's a heart. Then someone exclaimed as he stared at the target paper Ningxi had just hit. Mo Lingtian also looked at the target paper, and then he also exclaimed, oh my god. The trajectory of Ningxi's bullets was really the trajectory of love. Fuck. How is this a little white rabbit? What a freaking monster. No wonder Lu Tingxiao was so smitten by her. Chapter 758. Zhuang Liaoyuan looked at the target paper with a nostalgic and melancholy expression. This girl is really interesting. Back then, I used this trick to woo my wife. Phut. Mo Lingtian was surprised. I didn't expect it. Uncle Zhuang, you were so good at flirting with girls. Of course. Zhuang Liaoyuan's solemn face showed a trace of imperceptible pride. It was just that he was old now, and he had to control his subordinates, so he had no choice but to always put on an old-fashioned and strict look. When he was young, he was also very romantic. Lingtian, introduce me to this girl. I want to get to know her. Zhuang Liaoyuan suddenly said. Mo Lingtian said, okay. Uncle Zhuang, come with me. Well, he still didn't give up. Forget it. Let Lu Tingxiao solve this problem himself. Mo Lingtian couldn't refuse, so he led Zhuang Liaoyuan to Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi. Seeing the middle-aged man beside Mo Lingtian, Lu Tingxiao's eyes flashed with a trace of sadness. Mr. Zhuang. Nephew Lu, how is your father recently? Thank you for your concern. My father is fine. Good. Zhuang Liaoyuan was probably an impatient soldier. After a few words, he couldn't wait to look at Ningxi beside Lu Tingxiao. Little girl, did you shoot the 10 rings with 6 consecutive shots just now? Seeing that the other party was a timid little girl, Zhuang Liaoyuan, who was usually solemn and cold, spoke in a very gentle tone. He even bowed slightly. Ningxi glanced at Lu Tingxiao subconsciously and then nodded. Although the man talking to her was dressed in casual clothes and looked very kind, the iron-blooded temperament of a soldier couldn't be concealed. Moreover, it was obvious that he was in a high position. Therefore, Ningxi's attitude was inevitably cautious. She didn't say anything and wanted to see what the other party meant. Good. Little girl, you're very good. How many years have you been practicing shooting? Zhuang Liaoyuan continued to ask. I haven't practiced much. I just play when I want to, Ningxi answered truthfully. Zhuang Liaoyuan was stunned, and the light in his eyes became brighter. Little girl, you're very talented. Do you like shooting? Ningxi nodded. Yes. Then, do you want to play shooting every day? Zhuang Liaoyuan's voice became gentler. Xiao Chen, who was standing at the side, was speechless when he saw the bureau chief, who was usually terror-stricken, trying to coax a young lady. In order to rope in talents, the bureau chief was really going all out. Lu Tingxiao sensed Zhuang Liaoyuan's intention. He pulled Ningxi into his arms and coughed softly. Mr. Zhuang. Zhuang Liaoyuan coughed, straightened up, took out a business card from his pocket, and handed it to Ningxi. Little girl, if you want to play shooting in the future, you can come to me. This shooting range is not suitable for you. You need a more professional one. More professional? Ningxi glanced at the red and black business card and asked tentatively, is it the shooting range in the north? Zhuang Liaoyuan nodded. Yes. Ningxi's eyes suddenly lit up. That was the most professional shooting range, a national one, and ordinary people couldn't get in. I hope we will have the chance to meet again, Zhuang Liaoyuan said and left with a face full of regret. After the man left, Ningxi looked at the business card which only had a name and mobile phone number. She asked suspiciously, Zhuang Liaoyuan, who is this person? Chapter 759. Zhuang Liaoyuan. Who's this guy? Why did the name sound so familiar? One of your rivals in love, Zhuang Kuer's father. Do you understand now? Mo Lingtian, who was at the side, said as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. He had heard that the Zhuang family wanted to match Zhuang Kuer with Lu Tingxiao, but it was no longer possible. He didn't expect to bump into Zhuang Liaoyuan here today. Zhuang Liaoyuan almost stole Lu Tingxiao's girl, however, there was an upside. Now that Zhuang Liaoyuan knew that Lu Tingxiao had a girlfriend, he probably wouldn't consider matchmaking them anymore. What? Zhuang Liaoyuan? The legendary Major General? I heard that he was the chief sniper in the Special Forces when he was young. His father, General Zhuang Zhongren, was also a great marksman. There were a few sharpshooters in the family. Yeah. Unfortunately, Zhuang Liaoyuan's son and daughter didn't join the army. It's probably a sore spot for him. Especially his son. He's famous for being a spoiled brat in the capital. He's always causing trouble at such a young age. The Zhuang family has such good genes. Did his genes mutate? Hearing the discussions around her, Ningxi finally knew who this middle-aged man was. Zhuang Kuer's father, Zhuang Liaoyuan, her blood-related uncle? What a coincidence, there would be no stories. Outside the shooting club, Zhuang Liaoyuan got into a military SUV. He looked a little distracted. After a moment of silence, he said to the guard next to him, "Xiao Chen, help me look into that girl's background." Xiao Chen nodded. "Yes, sir." Zhuang Liaoyuan looked at the rapidly retreating background outside the car window and sighed. He looked a little lost. The Zhuang family had been in the army for several generations. His daughter, Zhuang Kuer, had no interest in firearms or military matters. She was trained by her mother to be a noble lady. His son, Zhuang Rongguang, was even more useless. He wished he hadn't been born. Now that he saw a girl with such shooting talent, he was excited and envious. He wondered who her parents were. In the shooting club, Ningxi was staring at the business card. Suddenly, her hand was empty. Lu Tingxiao took it. Ningxi puffed up her cheeks and looked up. "Lu Tingxiao, why did you take my name card?" "You don't need to. If you want to go, I'll take you there," Lu Tingxiao said expressionlessly. Ningxi knew what he was thinking and couldn't help laughing. "Don't worry. My biggest hobbies in this life are acting and you. I won't be seduced into the army. How can I bear to leave you?" The great demon king was satisfied with Ningxi's answer. Seeing that the two of them were in love with each other and Ningxi was unexpectedly favored by Zhuang Liaoyuan, Lu Xinyan was unwilling to give up. "Brother, even if she wins this time, it's a fact that she used you as a stake. This woman does not respect you at all. He didn't take you seriously at all. Brother, have you ever thought about what would happen if she loses?" Lu Tingxiao looked at her coldly and then said expressionlessly, "I'll come back myself." Lu Xinyan's face darkened. Mo Lingtian staggered and almost fell down. Lu Tingxiao's answer was too fucking good. Guan Ziao, who was standing at the side, bit her lower lip. Lu Tingxiao's attitude towards this woman had reached the point where he had no principles at all. Ningxi was so touched that her eyes welled up with tears. Oh. She'll go back herself if she loses. The Great Demon King is so heartwarming. For the Great Demon King, she would be obedient and never cause trouble again. Chapter 760. Lu Xinyan's face darkened and she was speechless. Lu Tingxiao's gaze suddenly turned extremely cold. He looked at her and said, "If my introduction wasn't clear enough, then let me say it again. She is your cousin-in-law. What's your attitude?" He had introduced her as his future cousin-in-law, but now, she was his cousin-in-law. It was equivalent to indirectly saying that he would marry this woman. It was a warning to Lu Xinyan and everyone else. After saying this, Lu Tingxiao turned around and left with Ningxi. Behind him, Lu Xinyan's face turned pale. His brother was serious. He wasn't just fooling around. Was he really going to let this woman marry him? At this moment, because of Ningxi Lu's amazing skills, everyone's attitude had changed subtly. As expected, I shouldn't have doubted Master Xiao. This girl is really amazing. No wonder she has Lu Tingxiao under her thumb. Isn't that right? Her marksmanship, TSK. It's amazing. I remember very clearly that the first time, that woman didn't wear headphones or goggles. She didn't even look at the target. The second time, she didn't aim at all and casually fired 3 shots. Her flirting skills were even better. In the end, even Major General Zhuang was alarmed. Is that woman really just an ordinary actress? Who knows? What's so great about her? Although she's not completely useless, that's all she's capable of. Lu Xinyan muttered and held Guan Ziao's arm. "Sister Ziao, don't lower yourself to her level. She's just a little trick to bluff people." Guan Ziao's face was solemn. It seemed that she had underestimated that woman. But soon, the woman's face returned to its usual pride and indifference. This time, it was just a mistake because she had underestimated her opponent. After Lu Tingxiao left, Mo Lingtian quietly observed Guan Ziao's expression. His gaze changed again and again. Finally, He pulled her to a corner. What's the matter? Guan Ziao asked with a frown. Mo Lingtian put one hand on his waist and the other on his forehead. He paced around a few times and said angrily, I should be the one asking you that. What's wrong with you? Your behavior today is really too strange. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? Don't tell me you have feelings for Lu Tingxiao. Mo Lingtian unconsciously clenched his fists. Haven't you always treated him as a brother? That's because the timing wasn't right before. So you really like Lu Tingxiao? Mo Lingtian's face changed instantly, and his tone became stern, but now he has a girlfriend. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a third party? She's just your girlfriend. I have the right to compete fairly. You're crazy. For a moment, Mo Lingtian felt as if he had never known the person in front of him. Guan Ziao's expression did not change. I'm just taking back what belongs to me. Ever since she could remember, there was only one person in her eyes. That was Lu Tingxiao. They had the same high IQ, the same hobbies, and the same family background. All of these made them seem like a match made in heaven. Therefore, she was not in a hurry at all. She had always thought that they were destined to be together since they had such a tacit understanding. Therefore, even after leaving for so many years, she had never doubted this. But, he didn't expect, as soon as she returned to the country, the thing that she had been sure of until now actually changed like this. But, it didn't matter. She would reverse this accident. Chapter 761. After leaving the shooting range, Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi stopped at the edge of a vast expanse of white and empty snow. After being disturbed for so long, they could finally return to the world of the two of them. Not far away, they could vaguely see a small house with a glass dome. Behind the glass house was a cedar forest. On the path beside the house, there was a cute Alaskan dog pulling a sleigh. After getting out of the car and seeing the scene in front of her, Ningxi was amazed. Wow, it's so beautiful here. It's like a fairy tale world. There's a chance to take you to a real fairy tale world. The resort here was built to imitate a Finnish igloo. At this time, the sky had begun to snow. Lu Tingxiao wrapped her in a thick blanket, then carried her by the waist and walked in the direction of the house. After opening the door and entering, Lu Tingxiao carefully put her down. The room was covered with a large, warm, white velvet blanket, and opposite it was a fireplace that was burning, emitting warm steam. On the carpet opposite the fireplace was a short table. On the short table, there were already hot delicacies. There was crab and peanut butter salad, banana and lemon egg tarts, Mexican cheese pancakes, camembert cheese, guacamole roast beef, Vietnamese rice paper salmon rolls. The whole table was filled to the brim. After playing for half a day, Ningxi was already hungry. She was tempted by the aroma. Lu Tingxiao took out a bouquet of red roses wrapped in brown retro lamb leather and handed it to her. This is for you. Ningxi blinked and took it, feeling flattered. She sniffed it and a cold fragrance wafted into her nostrils. The bouquet of red roses looked like they had just been cut from the branches. There were still drops of dew on the petals, and they looked full of passion and vitality. Ningxi suddenly thought of the flower language of red roses. Red roses seemed to represent passion and love. Lu Tingxiao looked at the girl holding the bouquet of red roses. Her face was more beautiful than the flowers. Do you like it? Ningxi nodded and looked up at the glass ceiling. It was warm inside, but she could see the snow outside. I like it. It's so romantic. Why is it so grand today? She was a little confused. Today is the 5th anniversary of our relationship. Lu Tingxiao replied. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, there were only 2 days left of the 1-week period. Why is it the 5th day? Does it have any special meaning? Ningxi didn't understand what the great demon king was thinking. Didn't other people commemorate 100 days, a year, or 3 years? What does the 5th day mean? Lu Tingxiao, for me, every day that I've known you is special. Ningxi, very well, my king. You win this round. The delicacies prepared by the great demon king were all very delicious. Ningxi rubbed her round belly. She had shamefully eaten too much. After dinner, Ningxi hugged the blanket, warmed herself by the fire, and snuggled in Lu Tingxiao's arms lazily. Recalling what had happened today, she couldn't help sighing. Lu Tingxiao, I suddenly find that I have so many rivals in love. Zhuang Kuo just left, and here comes Guan Ziao. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her indifferently and said, more than me? One word, instant kill. Of course not. Nonsense. You don't have many rivals in love. Ning, she refused to admit it. Do you want me to count for you? The scariest thing was that he not only had to be wary of men, but also women. Ahem, no need. All right. She didn't dare to complain about having so many rivals in love anymore. Update over Little Angels Goodnight Snowy World Thomas spins 3.5 rounds asking for tickets a . Chapter 762. Late at night, Platinum Palace. After Lu Tingxiao sent Ning Shi back to her apartment, he received a call from Mo Lingtian as soon as he got home. The person on the other end of the phone could tell that he had drunk a lot just by listening to his voice. His words were a little unclear, and he insisted on calling him over to his house for a drink. Then, halfway through his shouting, he heard a bang, and then there was no sound. It seemed that he had fallen. Lu Tingxiao frowned. He had no choice but to drive to Mo Lingtian's house. As soon as he arrived at the door, he saw Mo Lingtian lying in the snow by the door. If he didn't come over, he would probably lie there for the whole night. Lu Tingxiao pinched his eyebrows and lifted him up. However, as soon as Mo Lingtian was lifted up, he put his mouth on Lu Tingxiao's body with the smell of alcohol. Ziao. Before Mo Lingtian kissed him, Lu Tingxiao said, do you want to die? Hearing the cold voice, Mo Lingtian sobered up instantly. What the fuck? It's you. Then he muttered with dissatisfaction, I just kissed you. Don't look so chaste. I'm not a woman. Lu Tingxiao loosened his collar and helped him into the house impatiently. Mo Lingtian lay on the sofa like a dead fish, looking at the chandelier above his head blankly. Lu Tingxiao, you know I like Ziao. Lu Tingxiao glanced at him but didn't speak. That's nonsense. Back then, I even retired early for her sake because I was afraid that she would be snatched away by you when I wasn't around. But the truth is, even if I stayed by her side all the time and even followed her abroad, she still wouldn't be mine. When Guan Ziao's family moved abroad, he immediately went through the procedures to transfer to another school and stayed abroad for 3 years. It was not until his family urged him to come back that he finally came back. During this period, he often went abroad to see her and never stopped contacting her. It was not easy for her to endure until she returned home, but what she got in return was utter despair. Mo Lingtian talked for a long time and finally looked at Lu Tingxiao and asked, do you like Guaziao? If Little Rabbit didn't exist, would you be with her? Mo Lingtian looked a bit nervous. No. Lu Tingxiao didn't look hesitant. Mo Lingtian clenched his fists. Really? Do you dare to say that you have never liked Ziao? You two are so compatible in every aspect. I've never liked anyone before I met her. As for his feelings for Guan Ziao, it was no different from his feelings for Mo Lingtian. Mo Lingtian naturally knew that the she Lu Tingxiao spoke of was that little rabbit. You're really cruel. Ziao's gaze was fixed on him from start to finish. She had treated him as her biggest rival in love, but in the end, this guy was still an outsider. However, Lu Tingxiao's attitude ignited a glimmer of hope in him. While Mo Lingtian was lost in thought, Lu Tingxiao took out a palm-sized black leather notebook from his bosom and threw it into Mo Lingtian's bosom. Then, Lu Tingxiao turned around and left. What's this? Mo Lingtian casually picked up the book and opened it to have a look. In the next second, his eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets, and his expression when he held the book was like he was holding the Bible. The book was densely packed with Lu Tingxiao's strong and familiar handwriting. The content of the book actually pointed out the major mistakes he had made in pursuing Guan Ziao all these years. Damn, this guy is so quiet. When did he do this? Of course, he didn't think that this guy did it because of brotherly love. He even took care of Little Rabbit's rival in love. This is really amazing. Fuck. Why didn't you remind me earlier? In the villa, Mo Lingtian roared at the top of his lungs. Chapter 763. Today was Saturday and the school was closed. Little Baozi woke up early and rummaged through all his clothes. It took him more than 2 hours to look through his clothes. Lu Jingli, who had arrived earlier, leaned against Little Baozi's door and yawned. Baby, why do you take longer to change clothes than a girl? Also, what's the meaning of those sticky notes on your clothes? Every time Little Baozi rummaged through a set of clothes, he would stick a sticky note on it and write a number on the sticky note. It was so confusing that no one could figure out what this little guy was thinking. Little Baozi naturally ignored his uncle and kept rummaging through his clothes and sticking sticky notes on them, and so on. After another half an hour, the little guy finally chose the one with the largest number on the sticky note from a pile of clothes. Seeing Little Baozi change into a very handsome blue suit, Lu Jingli twitched the corner of his mouth and turned to his brother. Brother, it is said that a woman's heart is like a needle at the bottom of the sea, but your Little Baozi's heart is like a needle in the Mariana Trench. Lu Tingxiao glanced at the numbers on those clothes and said calmly, those numbers represent the number of times Ningxi kissed him when he wore those clothes to see Ningxi. Lu Jingli, very good. This is Little Baozi. He probably couldn't figure out the answer no matter how hard he thought about it. What made him even more speechless was that Lu Tingxiao could even understand this. He really was his biological son. After changing his clothes, Little Baozi immediately ran to Papa, raised his little head and looked at him with sparkling eyes, indicating, Papa, I'm ready. I can go to see Aunt Xiaoxi tilde. Lu Tingxiao looked down at his son and said lightly, I'll take you to Grandpa and Grandma today. Aunt Xiaoxi has something to do today. Little Baozi's little face suddenly froze. A bolt from the blue was nothing more than this. Phut. Lu Jingli was amused by the little guy's expression and laughed unkindly. Brother, you're so cruel to your son. He changed clothes for 2.5 hours before you said the one he was going to see was not his beloved Aunt Xiaoxi. What's the difference between this and happily opening a New Year's gift bag only to find that it's a 3-year simulation of a 5-year college entrance examination paper? Little Bun expressed that his young heart had been seriously hurt. He turned around and was about to run back into the house. At this time, Lu Tingxiao behind him said, Tomorrow is the weekend. Aunt Xiaoxi will come to our home with your master. Hearing this, the little Bun, who had an expression of I don't believe in this world anymore, immediately regained his vitality. Thus, Lu Tingxiao smoothly led Xiaobao out of the door. Before leaving, the 3 of them were about to get into the car when Lu Tingxiao suddenly stopped in his tracks and said to the old butler behind him, Uncle Yuan. Eldest young master, what are your orders? Lu Tingxiao said, Go get Xiaobao's bear. Bear. The old butler thought Lu Tingxiao had something to tell him, so he was confused. Finally, under Lu Tingxiao's orders, the old butler and 2 servants carefully tied the big bear that Xiaobao had won as a prize in the parent-child activity to the car. Damn. Brother, what are you playing at this time? What's the point of bringing this gigantic bear back to the old house? Lu Jingli touched his forehead and really felt that when he was with his brother, it was really a test of his intelligence. Chapter 764. Old Mansion. Page, none of you would have remembered to come back if I hadn't called to urge you, right? In the living room, Lu Chongshan's face was filled with anger when he saw his 2 sons. However, when his eyes landed on the little darling in Lu Tingxiao's hand, his expression instantly became as gentle as it could be. Xiaobao, you're here. Yang Rui didn't even notice his 2 sons and went straight to Xiaobao. Xiaobao, it's been so long. Did you miss Grandma? Where's Grandpa? Did you miss Grandpa? Lu Chongshan asked, unwilling to back down. Ever since Xiaobao's fever didn't subside and they promised to hand him over to Lu Tingxiao, they hadn't seen him since then. Xiaobao looked at Grandpa and Grandma before writing 2 words on the writing board. Think, 2 think, 1 for Grandma and 1 for Grandpa. It was extremely fair. When the 2 elders saw Xiaobao write the word think, they instantly felt better than taking a miracle pill. At the dining table, Lu Chongshan and Yang Rui kept putting food into Little Bao's bowl. Little Bao's bowl was already piled up like a mountain. At least Lu Tingxiao was occasionally asked about Xiaobao's daily life, but Lu Jingli was completely invisible. Mom, I say. Why did you ask me to come back? You haven't even looked at me once since just now, Lu Jingli said with an aggrieved expression. Yang Ruyi smiled at Xiaobao, who was eating obediently. Why would I look at you? What's there to look at? Lu Jingli. Is she really his biological mother? So he was just a passerby. A son without a son was like a blade of grass. After dinner, Lu Jingli was finally of some use. Yang Ruyi and Lu Chongshan asked Lu Jingli to take Xiaobao to play in the yard and asked Lu Tingxiao to stay alone. The two elders didn't look too good. One look and it was obvious that they were going to criticize him. Yang Ruyi said with disappointment, Tingxiao, if Xinyang didn't call us yesterday, how long were you going to keep this from us? I knew I shouldn't have let them take Xiaobao away. Now look at you. Lu Chongshan complained as he looked at Yang Ruyi. That woman must have used Xiaobao to get close to her son during this period of time. That was why the two of them could develop so quickly. Can you blame me? At that time, Xiaobao was already like this. Just as the two of them were having a discussion, they suddenly saw Xiaobao running over. Aside from that, there was a huge furry bear beside Xiaobao. Lu Jingli poked his head out from behind the bear, panting. Oh my god, it's so heavy. I'm exhausted. This is. Lu Chongshan and Yang Ruyi stared at one another in confusion. This is Xiaobao's first time participating in a parent-child activity in school, and I won the first prize. It's very memorable, so I wanted to bring it over for Grandpa and Grandma to see, Lu Tingxiao said calmly. As soon as he said that, the two old men, who were at loggerheads just a moment ago and couldn't wait to bring Xiaobao back, were instantly filled with pleasant surprise. Aya, it's true. Our Xiaobao is really awesome. I even wanted to bring it over for Grandpa and Grandma to see, Lu Jingli. Alright, he finally knew what this bear was for. It was obvious that his parents were going to criticize him after finding out about his relationship with Ningxi. In the end, they had only just begun when their son threw a bear at them. Chapter 765. During this period of time, Yang Ruyi had refrained from seeing Xiaobao out of guilt, while Lu Chongshan had the mentality of I don't care, I want to see what you can do with Xiaobao. In the end, Xiaobao turned out to be better than they had imagined. It was obvious that the little guy had put on weight again, and his energy had recovered. They were most worried that Xiaobao would not adapt to school life, or that he would be bullied by other kids because he didn't know how to talk, which would make him more antisocial. In the end, none of their worries happened. After being interrupted by Lu Tingxiao, the two of them were so immersed in the joy of Xiaobao adapting to school life that they forgot about the important matter. After the father and son left, Yang Ruyi couldn't help but say anxiously, what should we do now that things have developed to this stage? Should I go to Ningxi directly? That's the worst thing to do. You know your son's temper. Touching that girl is the last resort. The best way is to let your son change his mind. Then are we just going to watch and do nothing? Originally, I thought that this girl was a sensible girl. Who knew that I was wrong? If she really didn't want anything, how could she have developed to this stage with Tingxiao? Why are you panicking? Isn't it just a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship? How strong do you think this relationship is? Maybe after they get together, the novelty will wear off and they will break up. Besides, Xiao has returned to China, and your son isn't blind. He will know what to do. Lu Chongshan showed a rare relaxed expression. Right. Xiao. And Xiao. I'm so silly. Yang Ruyi was relieved to hear that. She said with a happy expression, luckily, Xiao came back in time. I watched her grow up. At that time, there were so many ladies in the industry, but she was the most outstanding one. She was a good match for our Tingxiao in every way. If her family hadn't suddenly moved overseas 7 years ago, they might have gotten together a long time ago. I wouldn't have to worry so much. After all, it's a fortune-telling, a horoscope test, and a blind date. How can it be compared to someone who knows everything? That's right. Besides, they are unmarried, so it's not too late now. We don't need to do anything. We just need to create a chance for them. Then let's have dinner with the Guan family this weekend. As the man's side, we should take the initiative. We can also find out what the Guan family is thinking, Yang Ruyi immediately suggested. There's no need to find out. Old Guan has already spoken to me on the phone. From his tone, I'm sure he has the same idea as us, Lu Chongshan said proudly. Yang Rui was overjoyed. That's great. Shall I give Tingxiao a call now? Yes. Yang Rui immediately dialed his son's number. Hello, Tingxiao. Mom, what's up? I forgot to tell you that your Uncle Guan's family is back, right? Yes. Go and book a suitable restaurant. Let's find a suitable time to treat them to a meal as a welcoming dinner. Yang Rui tried her best to speak in a normal tone. All right. Just as Yang Rui hung up, Lu Chongshan immediately asked with a nervous expression, how is it? Well said, son. He agreed. Yang Rui was overjoyed. Lu Chongshan looked as if he had expected it. What do you think? I told you. Sigh, if I succeed this time, then I'll have one less thing to worry about. Chapter 766. At the same time, at Ziyiling Studio. On the sofa, Ningxi looked at the studio's monthly financial report with a serious expression. More than half of the 3 million yuan had been spent, and the studio was still in a negative state. Gong Shangzi's face was full of self-blame. I'm sorry, boss. Marketing. I'm really not good at it. Although they had won a very valuable heavyweight award, the previous market had almost been completely taken over by Histity, not to mention that they had been deliberately blocking their orders. Ningxi was naturally aware of this. After all, design was not enough for a fashion studio. Development, design, production, and sales were all indispensable. Based on our studio's situation, although the exclusive store model has fewer intermediate links and high profits, the investment is too high, and the requirements for human resources are too high. It's obviously not suitable for us, Ningxi said in a low voice. Gong Shangzi nodded. Yes, the most suitable model for us now is still a franchise and distribution model, and the most important prerequisite for this model is that our brand must have a convincing reputation. Otherwise, who would choose their brand for distribution and agency? Before this, they had already taken the most crucial step to prove their strength. What they had to do now was to show their strength and attract agents. So, what we need the most now is a heavyweight enough to advertise our brand. Sigh, it's a pity that my reputation is too low now, or else I could save a lot of advertising fees. Shangzi, do you have a suitable candidate? Ningxi sighed and asked with her chin in her hand. For example, how did ancient clothing become popular? A certain favored concubine or even empress or empress dowager in the palace would wear a certain material and style of clothing, stunning everyone at a certain state banquet, and then it would quickly become popular, from the nobles to the common people. This was the celebrity effect. Gong Shangzi hesitantly said a name, Qin Shengyu. Qin Shengyu. Ningxi murmured. She immediately knew who Gong Shangzi was talking about. One of the very influential socialites in the imperial capital. She had multiple identities such as model, famous blogger, publisher, and clothing retailer. She had her own column in the country's most authoritative fashion magazine, FA. Her name could be said to resound like thunder in the fashion industry, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that she was a fashion vane. If he could gain her favor and let her wear Ziyiling's clothes during this fashion week, the effect would definitely be better than any celebrity or actress. The most important thing was that Ziyiling was making a high-end brand. The starting point of the brand must be high enough. If the target audience of the brand was small stars or even internet celebrities at the beginning, it would be very difficult for the brand to improve in the future. This step was extremely important. However, if we can think of it, others can naturally think of it as well. There must be a lot of people looking for her this time. I tried to contact her before and even went to her company personally, but I couldn't even see her face. Gong Shangzi looked helpless. Don't worry. Focus on your design. I'll think of something else. If Qin Shengyue's method doesn't work, I'll think of something else. After leaving Ziyiling's studio, Ningxi drove to the company to look for her. Sure enough, there were a lot of people waiting there to see Qin Shengyu. Ningxi waited from evening to late at night. The people waiting around gradually lost their patience and left. In the end, she was the only one left. She still didn't see Qin Shengyu. Originally, she just didn't want to give up and came to try her luck. It was expected that she wouldn't see her, so Ningxi prepared to directly go home. In the parking lot, after getting into the car, she was just about to start the engine when unexpectedly, there was an unexpected reward. Chapter 767. She was sitting in the car and saw a man and a woman arguing not far away. The woman was very tall and had clean short hair. She was wearing wide-legged pants and a coat. She had phoenix eyes, a high-nose bridge, well-defined features, and a great figure. It was Qin Shengyu, the person she had been waiting for. As for the handsome man in a grey suit opposite her, he seemed to be her husband. The two of them were arguing loudly, so Ningxi could hear them clearly in the car. Yang Juanhao, are you fucking crazy? You want to divorce me because of a prostitute? Qin Shengyu looked at the man in disbelief. The man's expression was extremely ugly. Shengyu, I've said it many times. Xiao isn't a prostitute. She's a very good and clean girl. Please don't insult her. Are you saying that I can't even compare to a woman who sings in a bar? Why? I want to know the reason. Give me a reason. Shengyu, you can still live well without me. But she's different. She only has me. She needs me more than you do. Huh. That's ridiculous. Are you saying that I deserve to be abandoned because I'm too strong and good at taking care of myself? In the car, Ningxi clicked her tongue. The bird that left late would get the worm. She hadn't expected to hear such a big piece of gossip. No wonder Qin Shengyu hadn't seen anyone these days. So there was something wrong with her marriage. This might be a very good breakthrough point. The two of them argued for a while more and then parted on bad terms. The man closed the car door and drove away without looking back. Qin Shengyu, who had been arrogantly scolding the man, fell to the ground the moment the man left. Her face was full of vulnerability as she sobbed. She didn't have any of her previous arrogance. Ningxi got out of the car quietly and walked to Qin Shengyu. Miss Qin, sorry to disturb you. I'm from Ziling's studio. Get lost, Qin Shengyu said angrily. It was obvious that she didn't want to be disturbed. Ningxi didn't waste any more time and said, Miss Qin, if I can help you change your husband's mind, can you wear clothes from our studio during this fashion week? Qin Shengyu chuckled. Can you make my husband change his mind? If you can make him change his mind, don't talk about clothes. Even if he wants me to wear a broken sack, it won't be a problem. Miss Qin, I'm serious. As long as you tell me the specific situation of that woman and how she met your husband, give me 3 days, and I promise your husband will come to you crying. He will slap himself in the face and beg for your forgiveness. Qin Shengyu was in a terrible mood. She didn't want to waste her breath on this woman who had appeared out of nowhere. However, just as she was about to scold her, she changed her mind because of Ningxi's words. She wanted Yang Juanhao to go back to her in tears, slap himself, and beg for her forgiveness. This was something she had dreamt of. But, how could it be? How could it be? Seeing that Qin Shengyu seemed to be wavering, Ningxi quickly took out a dozen bottles of beer from the trunk of the car. I have wine here. Do you want some? Qin Shengyu glanced at her and got into the car. For the sake of that case of beer. Or perhaps, what she needed more than wine was that she really needed someone to talk to right now. Chapter 768. Qin Shengyu drank 3 bottles of beer in a row before she finally said slowly, Juanhao and I are childhood sweethearts. We grew up together, and there were almost no twists and turns in our relationship. We fell in love and got married naturally, and our married life has always been very sweet. I have an impatient personality, and he has always been very tolerant of me. He dotes on me even more than my parents do. He usually plays along with me when he socializes, and he never messes around. He's very good, really very good. I don't know why he was so infatuated with a bar singer this time. He didn't even hesitate to divorce me. After I found out about them, I went to the bar and called that woman out to slap her a few times. In the end. Do you know? He protected that woman in front of me. After he came back that day, he asked for a divorce. Ningxi propped her head up as she listened. She raised her eyebrows and said, Did that girl have a very tragic life? Then she said that she came to the bar to work part-time. Yes, I checked. Everything she said was true. Maybe she really is a good girl. Was I really too evil? Qin Shengyu hugged her head and said with a pained expression. Ningxi's mouth twitched. Please, sister. Would a good girl hook up with someone else's husband? Even if she didn't know about it before, how could she not know after you went there to make a scene? Tell me, what's her attitude now? She knelt in front of me and apologized to me. She said that she couldn't do anything about it because she loved him too much. She said that she would die without him, and she tried to commit suicide twice. The second time, she almost died. The hospital even issued a notice of critical illness. At this point, Ningxi had more or less guessed the general situation. That girl must have had an extremely tragic life, and she was most likely just a student. She then said that she came to the bar to work part-time to earn money to treat her family's illness. Qin Shangyue's husband was probably a man with a sense of justice and kindness. After that, whenever he went to a bar to socialize, he would always pick that girl to socialize with. After a while, the two of them would get to know each other. After getting to know each other, that girl would definitely treat him as her benefactor, and even rely on and worship him as if he was God and Savior. Although it was an old trick, it was a classic one. It was most suitable to deal with a man like Yang Juanhao, not to mention that the other party was a ruthless character who was willing to risk his life. Okay, I understand. Alright, this woman's level seems to be a bit high. 3 days probably won't be enough. How about a week? I'll return you a clear-headed husband. Qin Shengyu looked at the woman in front of her in confusion. I don't know, where did you get your confidence from? I've tried everything, soft or hard, but it's all useless. When I tried to force her, she committed suicide. When I tried to persuade her, she immediately knelt down and kowtowed to me before I could say anything. The relationship between me and my husband has already reached a freezing point. I really don't dare to do anything anymore. Don't worry, I won't mess around. I won't do anything to hurt your husband or that woman. Of course, I won't affect you in any way. But, if I do it, will you really wear our studio's clothes? This was what she was most concerned about. I said, no matter what you want me to wear. Alright, it's a deal. After Ningxi left, Qin Shengyu held Ziling Studio's name card in her hand. She felt that she must have gone crazy. She actually believed a stranger's words and still had a glimmer of hope. Chapter 769. The next day. Platinum Gold Palace. Ningxi brought Tang Lang to the door early in the morning. As soon as they reached the door, they saw Xiao Bao already waiting there. Ningxi forgot about Tang Lang as soon as she saw Xiao Bao. She immediately jumped over and opened her arms. Awu tilde Xiao Bao baby tilde I miss you tilde give me a super big kiss tilde tilde tilde. Xiao Bao's eyes were as bright as the sun in the sky. He ran over and kissed Ningxi on the cheek. Ningxi naturally kissed him back happily. Tang Lang was dumbfounded as he looked at the little doll in front of him. What the fuck? This is Lu Tingxiao's son? That guy's son is so cute. This doesn't make sense. No wonder he kidnapped you. Ningxi looked at the shocked Tang Lang speechlessly. The first rule of a master is not to swear. She then held Xiao Bao's hand and introduced him to him gently. Xiao Bao, come, this uncle will be your master from now on. You will learn how to protect yourself from him, understand? Xiao Bao blinked his eyes and nodded seriously. Also, if you feel that there's something you don't like about this master or that he's not teaching you well, you must tell me immediately. I'll help you find someone else. Alright tilde stop talking nonsense tilde if I can't teach him well, then no one can teach him well tilde. Tang Lang originally didn't feel anything about taking care of a disciple. However, the more he looked at the cuddly little ball, the more he itched to teach him. He immediately grabbed Xiao Bao and started to talk to him. My good disciple, let me tell you, the most important thing in a fight is not to let yourself be at a disadvantage. If you really can't beat him, then you must kick his balls or kiss him when he's not paying attention. Fuck. Tang Lang. How did you teach him? I'm teaching him my ultimate skill. Ningxi kicked him. Do you believe that I won't kick your balls? Before he finished speaking, Ningxi suddenly retracted her leg and walked towards the Demon King with standard small steps like a lady. Lord Boss, you're up. Have you had breakfast? Seeing Ning Shi's 180-degree change in attitude, Tang Lang almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Have you prepared the things? Lu Tingxiao rubbed the girl's hair and looked at Tang Lang. Get ready. Boss, please take a look. Tang Lang hurriedly handed over a folder. Inside the folder was a detailed lesson plan. Ning Shi almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Tang Lang actually knew how to write a proposal. It was obvious that the two of them, who had always been playful, were extremely obedient in front of the great demon king. Sir Boss, you discuss it with senior brother first. I'll go look for Lu Jingli next door. I'll be back soon. Yeah. Lu Tingxiao nodded. When Ning Shi ran over, Lu Jingli was humming a song and watering his precious cabbages in the yard. When he saw Ning Shi, he immediately put on a vigilant expression. You. What are you doing? You want to steal my vegetables again? Stealing is not impossible, but I want to eat it too. The corners of Ning Shi's mouth twitched. Who stole your vegetables? Can't I be serious? Lu Jingli looked at her warily. What kind of serious business can you have? Ning Shi skipped over and hooked her arm around his shoulder. Dear little Prince Koi help me hook up with a girl. Lu Jingli, what did you say? Chapter 770. Lu Jingli looked at her with a look of disbelief. What did you say? Help me hook up with a girl. Ning Shi repeated. Bro, sister-in-law has a crush on a girl and asked me to help her hook up. Bro, come quickly. Lu Jingli immediately shouted at the yard next door. Ning Shi's eyes almost popped out. Damn it. Lu Jingli, what are you shouting for? When did I ask you to help me hook up with a girl? You said it yourself just now. Lu Jingli stared at her, full of indignation. I'll go. I mean you help me hook up with a girl. Bah, no, I mean you. Ning Shi was still explaining when Lu Jingli shouted at the devil in the yard next door. What's wrong? Lu Jingli rushed over to the fence like an arrow. Bro, she hooked up with a girl behind your back again, and this time she asked me to help her hook up with a girl. I rejected her decisively and reported it to you immediately. Ning Shi, why don't you go to heaven? In the end, Ning Shi could only honestly explain the cause and effect of the matter. Then she turned to stare at Lu Jingli. What's wrong with your brain? How could you understand it like that? Can you blame me for that? Isn't it because you have too many criminal records? That's why I naturally misunderstood. Lu Jingli mumbled. Yang Juanhao? Lu Tingxiao revealed a thoughtful expression. Yes, he has a good family background, good looks, and a good figure. He is such a high-quality stock. Once that woman hooks up with him, she will definitely not let go. It's useless for ordinary people to hook up with him. Originally, I wanted to disguise myself as a man and do it myself, but my status is not high enough. Besides, that woman is very vigilant and will definitely guard against this trick. After thinking about it, I think only Lu Jingli can do it. Ning Shi analyzed. Humph, you have good taste. Of course it's foolproof when I do it. But why should I sacrifice my body to help you? How can you trick me like this? Who asked you to sacrifice your body? I've already written the script for you. I guarantee that she won't even touch a finger of yours. Lu Jingli looked doubtful. How is that possible? Would that woman be so stupid? Would she take the bait without any benefits? That depends on whether the bait on the hook is big enough. Ning Shi rubbed her chin and stared at Lu Jingli. Lu Jingli felt like a piece of fat meat on a chopping board being stared at. What do I get after it's done? We're a family. Why do you still want benefits? Boss, am I right? Ning Shi leaped over the fence and hugged Lu Tingxiao's arm. Lu Tingxiao replied, yeah. Lu Jingli's face was filled with grief and indignation. Damn. You're too shameless. Brother, are you just going to watch her sell me out like that? Don't worry, I will make your brother close his eyes. Lu Jingli, looking at Lu Jingli's desperate expression, Ning Shi patted him on the shoulder and said, Okay, how can I not give you benefits? As long as you do it well, I will cook a Manchu Han imperial feast for you. Really? Don't lie to me. Why would I lie to you? Your brother is here to testify. But Lu Tingxiao said expressionlessly, a dish of pork ribs. It was tiring to cook a Manchu Han imperial feast. Damn. Am I only worth a dish of pork ribs? Don't quarrel. Help me solve this problem. When I reach the pinnacle of my life, marry your brother and become your sister-in-law, I will cook whatever you want to eat. Something seems wrong. Chapter 771. So that Saturday, Tang Lang taught Xiaobao Kung Fu and Ning Shi taught Lu Jingli how to hook up with girls. In the evening, Lu Tingxiao called her to the yard. Boss, what can I do for you? Lu Tingxiao looked like he had something to tell her. Yes, I have a dinner party tomorrow. I can't have dinner with you. Oh, it's okay. Go ahead. I need to take Lu Jingli to carry out the plan. I'm with the Guan family. Lu Tingxiao reported. Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. Wow, it seems that your parents are thinking the same thing as me. She asked Lu Jingli to hook up with girls, while they asked Lu Tingxiao to hook up with girls. Undoubtedly, they must have found out about her relationship with Lu Tingxiao, so they must have taken measures. To be honest, she didn't expect her relationship with Lu Tingxiao to develop to this point. There must be a lot of things she had to face in the future. But she never regretted it. Ning Shi, do you trust me? Lu Tingxiao looked at her solemnly. Ning Shi didn't speak. She tiptoed and kissed him on the lips. She understood that it was just a stalling tactic. That weekend, in a high-end Western restaurant in the capital, Ning Shi and Lu Jingli sat in a corner. Look, the piano player is Yang Shiru. She used to work in a bar. Yang Juanhao must have helped her find this job. Ning Shi pointed at the girl who was playing the piano on the stage and introduced the situation to Lu Jingli as she looked at the girl. Yang Shiru was wearing a white dress and had long black hair that reached her waist. At first glance, she looked retro and gentle. She was the type that could easily arouse a man's desire to protect her. Seeing Ning Shi staring at the girl, Lu Jingli's face darkened and he reached out to block her view. Hey, have you seen enough? You already have my brother. Why are you still staring at the girl? That's too much. Ning Shi moved his hand away and continued to look at the girl. I'm just observing the enemy. Lu Jingli was furious. I don't believe you. You're staring straight at her. You shallow, stinky men. The corner of Ning Shi's mouth twitched. Hey, don't you think there's something wrong with this line? Only then did Lu Jingli blink his eyes. It seemed that something was indeed wrong. Ning Shi touched her chin and looked at him thoughtfully. But, Lu Jingli, to be fair, just from her appearance, this girl is really attractive to men. Don't tell me you don't feel anything. Lu Jingli snorted disdainfully. No, that's not my type. Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. Oh, you have a favorite type. As far as I know, it's only during this period of time that you've seen through the world of mortals that you've started to have an empty window. The number of hot girls that you've dated in the past are too many to count. They're all skinny and plump. What kind of type can you not have? Lu Jingli's face darkened. Of course I have a type I like. Don't make it sound like I'm not picky at all. I'm very picky, let me tell you. The type I really like is the kind of fairy sister who is modest, refined, elegant, and elegant. She is as swift as a flying duck. She is like a deity who treads on the waves. Her words are long but her breath is like an orchid. She is as startled as a swan. She is above the mortal world. Hehe, your face. Ning Shi rolled her eyes and waved her hand. You'd better be single for the rest of your life. Chapter 772. What's wrong with me? My expectations aren't high at all, okay? When I asked you what the person you liked was like, you said he was riding on colorful cloud. Lu Jingli snorted, then suddenly remembered something and stared at her. Oh yes, I suddenly remembered something. Why don't you let my brother hook up with you? It's more convenient for him to do it. Why do we need 7 days? Just one flirting would be enough. You only know how to order me around. Ning Shi looked at him as if he was an idiot. Nonsense. Your brother is taken, and I won't allow it. Lu Jingli said. I won't do it if you torture me again. Ning Shi hurriedly patted Lu Jingli's head. Oh, I won't torture you anymore. Be good. Have you read the script I wrote for you? Lu Jingli was speechless at the mention of this. What kind of lousy script is this? It's so cliché that it's not difficult at all. Didn't you say that this girl is hard to hook up with? Will this really work? It's hard for other people. Don't worry. Not to mention that she's a girl, even the mothers of children will fall for you. Go, Pikachu. As Ningxi spoke, she patted Lu Jingli's shoulder. Finally, she pushed this guy who had been nagging away to do business. On the stage, Yang Shiru was playing the piano. Ningxi had stuffed a white rose into Lu Jingli's mouth, which represented purity and innocence. He was walking towards Yang Shiru on stage. At this moment, Lu Jingli was wearing a Bluetooth headset, and Ningxi was remotely controlling him. Go ahead, I don't need your eyes to be full of drama. Just put the rose on the piano, and your task today will be completed. Ningxi was afraid that Lu Jingli would add to the drama, so she stared at him nervously. Fortunately, Lu Jingli's performance was not bad. After Yang Shiru finished playing, the gentleman placed the white rose beside her piano and looked at it affectionately with his peach blossom eyes before turning around and leaving. Ningxi observed Yang Shiru's expression. Surprise, shock, disbelief, and ecstasy. She pretended to be calm and indifferent. Basically, it was all within her expectations. Okay. Done. Let's go. I'll treat you to a barbecue tilde at the same time. Ningxi also stood up and left the dining hall to follow Lu Jingli. Lu Jingli grumbled in dissatisfaction. I still think it's too simple. You summoned a high-level spirit-branded retainer, and you only want me to kill a mosquito for you. Ningxi couldn't take it anymore and scolded. Are you asking for a beating? Isn't simplicity good? Do you want me to order you around like a cow or a horse? In any case, you are my future brother-in-law. Even if I wanted to cheat someone, I wouldn't cheat you. Why would I abuse you? Although these are good words, why do I feel like I'm being abused again? After leaving the Western restaurant, the two found a roadside stall and sat down, ordering some fried chicken and beer. Do I really not need to be more flirtatious? Otherwise, how would she know my identity? Lu Jingli was still nagging worriedly. What do you know? It's too low to tell her who you are. With your demeanor, she'll definitely find out for herself. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, you continue to come at the same time. You only need to give her one white rose each time. On the fourth day, when the time is almost right, you give her 999 roses, then book the entire restaurant and treat her to a meal. Of course, I will pay for the cost of the flowers and the booking of the restaurant. Chapter 773. Lu Jingli pursed his lips. You're really generous. Haven't you thought about what if you fail? Ningxi shrugged and said indifferently, what else can I do? I'll beat you up to vent my anger. Damn. You just said that I'm your dear future brother-in-law and you won't mistreat me. The two chatted for a while and Lu Jingli suddenly jumped up. He counted on his fingers and said, oh no. Oh no, oh no. What do you mean? Ningxi looked at him speechlessly. Today is the 7th day of your relationship with my brother. It's the 7th day, right? Lu Jingli looked as if it was the end of the world. Yes, what's wrong? Ningxi looked puzzled. Lu Jingli put down the drumstick in his hand. Xiao 1111. I don't want your Manchu Han Imperial Feast or your glutinous rice pork ribs anymore. Can you not break up with my brother? My brother really likes you. Ningxi was dumbfounded. Damn. You've only had a few sips of beer and you're already drunk. When did I break up with your brother? Lu Jingli looked at her with tears in his eyes. But it's been 7 days. You've never dated anyone for more than 7 days, right? Ningxi was speechless. No wonder Lu Tingxiao suddenly wanted to celebrate their 5-day anniversary. No wonder she always felt that there was something wrong with Lu Tingxiao. Could it be that these guys were all thinking the same thing? She was completely speechless, in a 6-star hotel in the capital. Oh, Brother Guan, long time no see. Lu Chongshan went up and held the man's hand enthusiastically. Guan Rui was also very happy and said with a smile, Brother Lu hasn't changed much after so many years. You're still so young. I can tell that you're not worried at all. Mrs. Guan smiled and said, "Of course I'm not worried when I have two such good sons." "Of course not. Our two sons are so annoying. How can they be as considerate as your daughter?" Yang Rui grabbed Guan Xiao's hand, her face full of satisfaction. "Xiao, this girl is getting more and more beautiful." After some small talk, the two families sat down at the dinner table. "Didn't Xiao come back this time?" "No, after sending us back, he immediately rushed back. The company can't do without him. Fortunately, Xiao is by your side." "Yeah. This girl is incredible. I heard that she just got her master's degree in business administration. A girl, so young, yet so ambitious. It's really not easy." Yang Rui praised non-stop. While her parents were chatting, the atmosphere between Guan Xiao and Lu Tingxiao was also quite good. "Tingxiao, do you still remember Gao Zhuo? He was my high school classmate and the president of the student council at the time." Guan Xiao casually threw out a topic. Although they had been separated for 7 years, they had countless common memories. That was something that nothing could erase. "Yes. Some time ago, Gao Zhuo invested in technology stocks and lost everything." Guan Xiao sighed. Although this is the era of the technology bubble, many technology companies have limited defense depth. It is too difficult to discover the final winner early, and it is difficult to make a reasonable valuation of them. There are indeed risks. In addition, there are two types of companies that require a lot of capital but do not have enough profit potential, and companies that are too young. Generally, I do not dare to get involved. There are exceptions. Chapter 774. Of course. For example, IBM and Alibaba, although they both have deep defense, they have abundant cash flow and a long history of profit. You bought the shares of IBM at the price of $356 per share with $30 million. 3 years later, IBM changed its business strategy and began to withdraw its capital to invest in the production of smartphones. Now the price of the shares has risen to $328 per share, which is 10 times more than before. You're the best. You dare to play with all kinds of domains. It's just luck. You can be modest in front of others, but don't pretend to be modest in front of me." The parents of both sides looked at the two children with satisfaction. "Look, they are so good at talking. Alas, you don't know that my son only replied with a whom even when I talked to him. It's rare to have someone he can talk to." "Don't mention it. My son is the same. I remember they got along very well when they were young." Guan Rui was quite dissatisfied with the fact that Lu Tingxiao already had a son and a girlfriend. But when he thought of Lu Chongshan's promise and saw that the Lu family's business had increased several times since Lu Tingxiao took over, he suddenly felt that it was not a big deal. Most importantly, this marriage would bring immeasurable benefits to the Guan family. In fact, Lu Chongshan was not the most satisfied with Guan Xiao. He was most satisfied with Zhuang Ku-er, the eldest daughter of the Zhuang family. She was a real beauty. Even Guan Xiao grew up in a business family and was too shrewd and snobbish. Unfortunately, recently, the Zhuang family seemed to have turned cold to them, which made Lu Chongshan feel quite regretful. After all, the Zhuang family was a family of officials, and they only had marriages with aristocratic families like theirs. They rarely had marriages with the Shang family. This kind of thing could not be forced. In the end, the host and the guest enjoyed the meal. Lu Chongshan and Yang Rui finally relaxed and waited for Lu Tingxiao to change his mind. But they didn't know that their son actually regarded Guan Xiao as a trick to confuse them. Pearl River Imperial View. After returning to the apartment, Ningxi had just taken a shower and was about to go to bed when the doorbell rang. Seeing Lu Tingxiao outside, Ningxi was a little surprised. "Lu Tingxiao, why are you here so late? Come in." After entering the house, Ningxi was just about to get him slippers when she was hugged. "What's wrong?" "I'm sorry. Due to some reasons, I can't change their attitude in the short term. However, whether it's love or marriage, it's between the two of us. You don't have to worry about or please anyone. No matter what happens, don't hide it from me. Leave it to me. Do you understand what I'm saying?" "Yes, I understand." Ningxi nodded. So he was afraid that she would mind, So he came over to soothe her in the middle of the night. Tilda, actually, it's very easy to deal with that side, Lu Tingxiao said. You have a way. Ning, she immediately asked suspiciously. Since he had a way, why didn't he say so earlier? Lu Tingxiao nodded. There is an effective method, and it's very simple. It's just that it hasn't been implemented yet. Really? What is it? The more Ning she listened, the more curious she became. Lu Tingxiao replied, to create humans. Ning, she scratched her head. Ah. Build what? Lu Tingxiao looked at her stomach meaningfully. Noticing Lu Tingxiao's gaze, Ning, she blushed. Shit. Lu Tingxiao, why are you being dirty again? Lu Tingxiao, how is it dirty? Wasn't it a very sacred thing? Ning, she, the process of creating humans is dirty. Chapter 775. Lu Tingxiao rubbed her dirty little head helplessly. I'm leaving. Ning, she was dumbfounded. Ah, you're leaving now? Did he come all the way here just to say these words? Yes. Ning, she raised her eyebrows. Really? Are you sure? Aren't you afraid that I'll break up with you tomorrow morning? It's the 7th day. It's been a week. It's the day of our breakup. Hearing this, Lu Tingxiao's back stiffened. Seeing Lu Tingxiao's reaction, Ning, she touched her forehead, not knowing what to say. Alas, what should I say to you? Mr. Boss, you're so smart. Why did you even believe that idiot Lu Jingli's words? I told you, you're special. Lu Tingxiao was about to leave when he paused again. What's special about me? Everything's special. Tilda Ning, she said gently. Lu Tingxiao gazed at her and suddenly asked, more special than the person you liked before? Huh? Ning, she was stunned. Aren't you the person I like? She was about to blurt it out when she suddenly realized that the person Lu Tingxiao was referring to, that guy? Thinking of this, Ning, she suddenly shivered, and all the hair on her body almost stood up. It's so late, can we not mention that person? She panicked. She had finally gotten rid of his shadow. Lu Tingxiao's eyes darkened and he unconsciously tightened his arms around her. Okay. You're the person I like at this moment. Don't let your imagination run wild. Tilda, stay with me tonight. Tilda, then we can celebrate the 8th day of our anniversary when we wake up tomorrow morning. Tilda Ning, she suggested happily. Okay. Lying in bed that night, Ning, she couldn't fall asleep. She got up and turned to look at him. Lu Tingxiao, the world will premiere in the capital in a few days. Will you go to see it? Lu Tingxiao said, no. Ning, she immediately straightened up. Ah. Why? Lu Tingxiao looked at her and tucked her in without saying a word. Ning, she looked disappointed. She pointed at her fingers pitifully and said, this is my first movie, and it's my first movie after I was poached by you. It's very meaningful. I want to show you how good I am. Why don't you watch it? It felt like she had scored 100 marks on the test, but her papa was not willing to look at her test paper. Because I might not be able to stop myself from taking it off the shelves. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her and said expressionlessly, Ning, she, ha. The next second, her heart skipped a beat as she suddenly understood. Was it because she and Jiang Mui were acting as lovers in the movie? However, hadn't all the sex scenes and kissing scenes been deleted and performed in a stream of consciousness technique? His only first love kiss was through a mask, not even that. All of them were taken off the shelves. How terrifying. Boss, please don't look. Ning, she changed her words decisively. After spending some time with him, Ning, she had some understanding of him. Lu Tingxiao was definitely not as harmless as he appeared to be. On the contrary, he was a terribly possessive person. He didn't break her legs, lock her in bed, and let her run around outside. Knowing that she would be jealous, he just didn't watch her acting. That was definitely his true love. Chapter 776. The early morning sun shone through the window, and the girl's skin was so soft and delicate that one could almost see the soft and cute fur under the sunlight. Lu Tingxiao leaned against the headboard and gently touched the girl's cheek with his fingers. Previously, his heart had been stretched taut like a string. Only at this moment did he finally relax. It had been a week since Dib came back and he was finally sure that the girl in front of him was really with him. She woke up on time according to her biological clock. As a result, the moment she opened her eyes, she saw a handsome face that was as beautiful as a god. She was in a good mood. She rubbed her cheek against the man's finger and hugged him like a koala. She said in a daze, "Oh, Mr. Boss, you're awake tilde good morning tilde morning." The quilt was warm and comfortable, so she subconsciously slept a little longer. A moment later, she suddenly opened her eyes. "By the way, you left Xiaobao alone at home again. Isn't that a bad idea? Xiaobao won't be angry, right?" Lu Tingxiao said, "No, I'm doing serious business." She said, "Serious business?" Lu Tingxiao said, "I still have half a mother to work on." She said, did he always lie to Xiaobao like this?" In the past few days, she had been busy preparing for the upcoming spring and summer fashion week in addition to following the production crew of Under the Heavens. After all, whether they could open up their reputation and market depended on this event. Finally, after Lu Jingli gave her white roses for 3 days, the plan to conquer Yang Shiru came to the most critical 4th day. Night fell. Yang Shiru went to work at the restaurant as usual, feeling excited and nervous. On the first day, after catching a glimpse of the man who gave her the white rose, she almost couldn't believe it. Except for some top figures in the capital who were too low-key and never appeared in newspapers or magazines, she knew all the celebrities in the capital like the back of her hand, let alone the second young master of the Lu family who had always been high-profile. However, she couldn't believe that such a person would have anything to do with her, so she asked around and finally confirmed that this man was the second son of the Lu Corporation, Lu Jingli. Previously, a well-known gossip magazine had made a ranking list, and Lu Jingli was named the #1 man on the list of the men that all the women in the capital wanted to have a one-night stand with the most, which showed the charm of this man. Of course, at the same time, it also showed that this kind of man could be toyed with, but if you took it seriously, you would lose. In a hidden corner of the restaurant, she flipped through a gossip magazine and teased Lu Jingli on the other side of the Bluetooth headset. "Phut. Lu Jingli, you're actually voted as the #1 man on the list of men that girls want to have a one-night stand with most. Girls just want to have sex with you but don't want to marry you. You deserve to be single for the rest of your life. Humph. So what if you want to fuck me? What's wrong? If you want to fuck me, that's what I'm capable of." Lu Jingli said proudly. Yes. You're capable. So, you have to perform well today. Don't use the same methods you use to chase after girls. Don't let Yang Shiru think that you're just playing around. You have to let her think that you're serious about her and that she's unique, understand? I know. You've said it 800 times. By the way, is my brother not on that ranking list? Lu Jingli asked curiously. Chapter 777. She took a look and said, "Of course, your brother is #1 on the list of men that girls want to marry. Do you still need to ask?" "Oh, I'm so angry." Ha, don't be angry. Jiang Mui is #1 on the list of men that girls want to have a one-night stand with. Does that make you feel better? Nonsense. The number of one-night stands was at least more than the number of one-night stands. Okay, Yang Shiru is here. Get ready, let's get down to business. The door of the restaurant was pushed open. Yang Shiru opened the door and came in, looking confused. Because the entire restaurant was dimly lit, and there was no one inside. What happened? Didn't he inform her that the restaurant was closed today? If it was closed, then, she wouldn't be able to see that man today. She had been trying hard to tell herself to calm down. Even if a man like Lu Jingli really liked her, it was probably just a whim. It was just that the ambition and desire in the depths of his heart was still fiercely stirred. Although she came from a poor family, she was born with a good figure and good looks. With these, she never lacked the pursuit of men. However, how could she like those ordinary people? Later, she finally found the opportunity to catch Yang Juanhao, the man who could let her completely get rid of the past and enter the world she yearned for. Moreover, not only his family background, he was gentle and handsome like a prince in a fairy tale world, which met all her requirements. Therefore, She made up her mind that even if she died, she must seize this opportunity. As for his wife, when she became his official wife, no one would remember how she got this man. However, when the white rose appeared, Yang Shiru's suppressed greed and desire were suddenly awakened. The human heart was the most greedy thing. Yang Juanhao was very good, but she suddenly found that there was someone better than Yang Juanhao. As for a natural beauty like her, she was worthy of even better things. Once Pandora's box was opened, it couldn't be closed. This kind of idea was out of control, and as the white rose appeared for the second and third time, it became more and more intense. Therefore, even if she knew the danger behind it, she still couldn't help but let the greed spread and grow like a vine. The closing of the restaurant made Yang Shiru frown. Her expectations suddenly fell to the bottom, and her eyebrows were full of disappointment. She was going to call her supervisor. However, just as he took out his phone, the originally dim dining room suddenly lit up. The super-luxurious crystal chandelier above his head, which was usually only turned on important days, also lit up. In the next second, she saw a man appear under the dazzling crystal. The man was wearing a formal black suit and a dark red bow tie. A retro pocket watch chain hung on his left chest. Inside was a British-style brown vest and a white shirt. He was also holding a large bouquet of white roses in his arms. He looked like a character that had walked out of a canvas. Unsurprisingly, Yang Shiru was completely stunned. She could hardly believe her eyes. Following that, the piano performance that she had been performing every day was now being performed by someone else. There was even a professional band playing romantic and soothing music beside her. On the only table with lit candles, fresh flowers and exquisite delicacies were placed. Chapter 778. Just a second ago, she was still disappointed that she couldn't see this man today. Unexpectedly, the next second, he appeared in front of her like this. This kind of ecstasy almost made her heart explode. Just like this, her heart beat faster and faster. She watched as the man walked up to her step by step and then handed the bouquet of 99 white roses to her. Yang Shiru stared at the man in front of her blankly. It took her a long time to calm herself down. She pretended to be surprised and confused. "Sir, thank you for the flowers a few days ago. I still don't know who you are. Hello, my surname is Lu. I'm very sorry to have taken the liberty to do such a thing, but after struggling for a long time, I still can't control this impulse. It doesn't matter who I am. I like your performance very much. You can treat me as, well, your fan. May I have the honor of inviting you to dinner?" Yang Shiru hesitated for a few seconds before reaching out to take the bouquet of flowers. She pretended to be ignorant of the world and completely didn't know what he meant to her. "Sir, you're too polite. I'm not a professional. I'm just here to make a living by playing the piano." Lu Jingli pulled out a chair for her and stared at her unblinkingly. "No, I'm not talking about the piano, but the person who plays the piano." Yang Shiru's heart suddenly jumped. In the corner, Ningxi had been very satisfied with the performance so far. However, after waiting for a long time, she didn't hear Lu Jingli's next line. Then she saw this guy touch his hair. This secret signal meant that he had forgotten his lines. Ningxi was speechless and the corners of her mouth twitched. She acted as a teleprompter. "I've never seen a girl like you, not far away." Lu Jingli heard Ningxi's reminder and continued to speak. "I've never seen a girl like you. The first time I saw you, I couldn't move my eyes away from you." Ningxi anxiously reminded him. "Lu Jingli, watch your expression. Don't be so calm, okay? You better act a little more nervous. Do you know what it feels like to fall in love for the first time? You have to act like you're in love for the first time, okay?" Lu Jingli's face darkened. First love, my ass. Although he had been in love so many times, he didn't know what it felt like at all. He had always been loved by others. If you really can't, just stutter, clench your fingers a little tighter, or knock things over. Show me through these small details. Ningxi could only teach step by step. Fortunately, Lu Jingli was quite perceptive. He gripped the glass tightly and took a big gulp of wine. His expression was nervous as he stammered, "I've seen many girls, but I've never seen one like you." It's really, very strange. I don't know what this feeling is. I think, if I get closer to you, I'll understand. I don't know what I'm saying. Do you understand what I mean? Seeing such a high and mighty man like Lu Jingli acting like a young boy who just had his first awakening of love in front of her, Yang Shiru's originally nervous mood suddenly calmed down. She had a sense of satisfaction as if everything was under her control, and her vanity and self-confidence were greatly satisfied. She smiled lightly and said ambiguously, "Maybe we're fated." After that, everything went smoothly. The atmosphere of the meal was ambiguous, which basically achieved the effect that Ningxi wanted. Then, it was time to find the next critical moment. Chapter 779. Usually, when Yang Shiru got off work, Yang Juanhao would come to pick her up. So, when Lu Jingli offered to drive her home, Yang Shiru immediately rejected him and said that she had an appointment with her best friend. So, Lu Jingli left first. In fact, Lu Jingli didn't leave but waited in the dark. Soon, a Porsche drove over from the parking lot. Yang Juanhao got out of the car and picked Yang Shiru up as usual. He kissed her lips lovingly. "Are you tired from work? Lu Jingli, it's your turn. This is an eye scene. You have to be shocked, heartbroken, unable to believe that you've lost your love. Exaggerate it. Do you understand?" Ningxi repeatedly urged. Lu Jingli's lips twitched and he rolled his eyes at her. "Why don't you change careers and become a director? Because I'm afraid that if there are too many actors like you, I'll die of anger. I'm very good at acting, okay? Okay, your first time was great enough. Hurry up and go. They're almost done kissing." Ningxi pushed him out anxiously. Of course he was good at acting. He had been in love so many times, but he acted like he had no experience at all. He didn't care at all. Anyone with eyes could tell that he was just fooling around. No wonder the girls only wanted to sleep with him. Lu Jingli followed the prearranged script and dropped the car key in his hand to the ground with a pa sound. Then he looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. He looked like he had just met his true love, only to find out that his true love already had someone else. Yang Shiru's face turned pale when she saw Lu Jingli. She hadn't expected him to come back. Damn it. I told you to be pompous, but I didn't tell you to be this pompous. Your eyes are too wide. Your acting skills aren't good enough. Stop standing there, or you'll be seen through. Just turn and leave. Ningxi urged. It was finally over. In the car, Lu Jingli lay on the seat like a dead dog. Acting is so hard. I feel like I'm being drained. Of course, it's a technical job. What else do I have to do tomorrow? We've laid enough groundwork. You don't have to do anything tomorrow or the day after. Just leave her hanging. The day after that, we'll be done with our last scene. Thank you, Director Ning. Be good. I'll give you an extra chicken drumstick when we get back. In the evening, when Ningxi returned to her apartment, she had just parked the car when she unexpectedly saw two acquaintances outside the car. Was that Ning Xueluo and Su Yang snuggling up to each other under the streetlight? Ning Xueluo rarely stayed in the apartment, and she bought a villa after history became popular. She didn't expect to see her today. Su Yang, father said that after this fashion show, he will take this opportunity to talk to grandfather about letting me enter the company. Last time, when father mentioned it, grandfather was already unhappy. This time, will grandfather be even angrier? After all, grandfather still seems to want to wait for big sister to come back. Ning Xueluo asked with a troubled expression. Of course not. Grandfather will definitely change his mind when he sees how excellent you are. Ning Xueluo sighed softly. In fact, I don't want to go. After all, I'm in an awkward position. But I really don't have the heart to refuse father. I've refused many times before. I'm afraid father will be disappointed. Besides, I really want to share the burden with father and grandfather, but... Chapter 780. Then go. After all, you went in with your own strength, didn't you? No one will say anything. But, sister, will she think that I'm robbing her? I really don't want to compete with her. Otherwise, I wouldn't have started my own company. You're thinking too much. You deserve all this. How can you say that you're robbing her? I've already sent the gown to Qin Shengyu for you. There shouldn't be any problem. Su Yang, you don't have to do so much for me. Silly, you're my future wife. If I don't help you, who else can I help? In the blink of an eye, it was the last day of the appointment with Qin Shengyu. It was already night time, but Ningxi was still unperturbed. In the end, Lu Jingli lost his cool and said, "Hey, there's not much time left. Are you going to let me fail at the last step? I've already sent someone to find out. Yang Shiru and Yang Juanhao are still in love these days. They have no intention of breaking up at all. Of course, she won't break up with Yang Juanhao. Do you think she'll be so stupid as to kick out of her previous home before she's sure that she can handle you? Then what should I do?" Ningxi looked at the time on her phone and waited for another half an hour. Then she slowly changed her clothes and put on makeup that looked very beautiful at first glance. Finally, she looked at the radiant Lu Jingli and said, "Didn't I tell you not to shave for the next few days? That will affect my looks," Lu Jingli said with a serious face. Ningxi pulled him over speechlessly and had no choice but to put on makeup for him. 10 minutes later, Lu Jingli, who had been in high spirits, immediately looked extremely haggard. Lu Jingli looked at Ningxi and then at himself in the mirror. He was pleasantly surprised. "Damn. Xiao 1111, your makeup skills are really comparable to disguises. My brother is so lucky. Why are you talking about your brother? Every time you change your makeup, you become a different person. It's like changing girlfriends every day. How fresh and exciting is that?" This guy's focus was indeed different. When Ningxi and Lu Jingli came to the restaurant again, there was only half an hour left before Yang Shiru got off work. Ningxi had already made a reservation in advance. The distance between them was neither too far nor too close, just enough for them to vaguely hear the conversation. Lu Jingli took a look at the gorgeously dressed Ningxi who was holding his arm. "Why is it different from the previous script? Are you going to make a guest appearance?" Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. "It's all because of your poor acting skills. Just in case, I had to do it myself." Yang Shiru, who was playing the piano, was surprised when she saw Lu Jingli. However, when she saw the woman beside Lu Jingli, her expression changed. Ningxi held Lu Jingli's arm and sat down at the reserved seats. They ordered and then began to chat. Ningxi kept trying to find a topic to talk to Lu Jingli. However, Lu Jingli's gaze remained absent-mindedly on Yang Shiru, who was playing the piano. Yang Shiru realized that Lu Jingli's heart was still on her. She was extremely excited and looked at him affectionately. Ningxi looked at Lu Jingli and then at Yang Shiru. She stood up, splashed half a glass of water on Lu Jingli, and then turned to leave angrily. Lu Jingli revealed an embarrassed expression and left the restaurant as well. Chapter 781. Finally, after confirming Lu Jingli's feelings for her, coupled with the sense of crisis brought by Ningxi's appearance, Yang Shiru's psychological defenses finally collapsed. She stopped playing and quickly chased after Lu Jingli. By the roadside, Lu Jingli was about to get into the car. Behind him, Yang Shiru called out to him, panting, "Mr. Lu, can we talk?" In the corner, Ningxi narrowed her eyes. She could finally draw in the net. The private room in the restaurant where Lu Jingli and Yang Shiru were talking was a big room with a compartment inside. Ningxi had already made an appointment with Yang Juanhao. At this moment, Yang Juanhao was in that compartment. Ningxi used her identity as Yang Shiru's best friend to invite Yang Juanhao over. She said that she had something important to tell him, and Yang Juanhao immediately rushed over. After waiting for a while, he suddenly heard two people's footsteps outside, followed by a familiar voice. It was Yang Shiru. Yang Juanhao was about to go out when he heard a man's voice. So, out of a man's instinct, he subconsciously held his breath and stopped in his tracks. "Miss Yang, what can I do for you?" Lu Jingli asked politely and indifferently. Yang Shiru was afraid that Lu Jingli would disappear again, so she said hurriedly, "Mr. Lu, you've misunderstood. The man you saw in the parking lot that day has nothing to do with me. At that time, he forced me. Who was that man? Lu Jingli asked deliberately. Yang Shiru explained even more anxiously. He's a customer I met at my previous workplace. He's a very nice person, and he helped me a lot. I'm very grateful to him, but that's all. I know that he might have some other thoughts about me, but I've only ever felt grateful to him, and I've always rejected his advances. He already has a wife. How could I break up his family? You don't like him? How could I like him? Yang Shiru said anxiously. In the end, she said shyly, Mr. Lu, I like you. Actually, I've liked you since the first time I saw you. It's just that you're too far away from me. I've never thought that you'd actually. Is that person called Yang Juanhao? Lu Jingli asked. Yang Shiru did not expect that Lu Jingli had already found out the other party's identity. Her face stiffened slightly. She was glad that she had spoken up first and seized the initiative. With a pained expression, she said, yes. You also know that he has power and influence. I can't fight back at all. I can only hide as much as I can. The next second, there was a loud bang and the cubicle door was slammed open. Yang Juanhao rushed out with bloodshot eyes and slapped Yang Shiru's face. Bitch! Yang Shiru was stunned when she saw Yang Juanhao. Jun Juanhao. Why are you here? If I wasn't here, how would I know that you're such a lowly person? You keep saying that I'm your everything and that you're willing to die for me. Upon hearing this, Yang Shiru's first reaction was to look at Lu Jingli anxiously. Mr. Lu, let me explain. Yang Juanhao also glared at Lu Jingli angrily, and then he was stunned. Wasn't he the second young master of the Lu group? How could Yang Shiru be related to such a person? Could there be some misunderstanding? Lu Jingli, on the other hand, had an innocent expression on his face. He shrugged and said, I just come to this restaurant often to eat. I admired Miss Yang's piano playing and chatted for a while. However, Miss Yang seems to have misunderstood me. Yang Shiru's face was filled with disbelief. What? You gave me flowers, and even treated me to a meal. Lu Jingli said, and then? Yang Shiru could not say a word. Lu Jingli had never said anything out of line, nor had he done anything out of line. Moreover, he had always been a flirtatious person. He had given flowers to many women. Was all of this just wishful thinking on her part? Chapter 782. Late at night. In a villa in the south of the city. The assistant carefully carried a gorgeous gown into the bedroom. Sister Yu, I've chosen the clothes for Fashion Week. Do you want to take a look? It's a histity gown. I saw that you were quite impressed with their designer's style, so. Qin Shangyu sat in front of the dresser absent-mindedly. She didn't even look at it and said casually, leave it. Oh. Seeing that Qin Shengyu didn't refuse, the assistant heaved a sigh of relief and quickly put the gown down. After leaving, the assistant immediately sent a text to the person who asked her for help. No problem. I've handed it over to Sister Yu. In the room, Qin Shengyu stared blankly at the gown on the bed for a while. Then, she took out a document from the drawer. It was a divorce agreement. In the past few days, Yang Juanhao's attitude towards her had become colder and colder, and he had been urging her to get a divorce even more urgently. It had even reached the point where he didn't care about his reputation and went straight to court. She got up and slowly opened the cabinet. Inside was a beautiful runway gown. It was the gown she would wear on the international stage for the first time. Her personality was indeed a little capricious and fiery, and she wasn't as gentle and considerate as that woman. However, this didn't mean that she had given less in this relationship. Originally, she had the chance to become a top supermodel and walk at the top of the pyramid, but for this man, she had resolutely given up her dream. In the end, what did she get in return? She was nothing compared to a woman who sang in a bar. Divorce. She had paid such a price. She had broken her own wings, and now she was asked to get a divorce. How could she be willing to watch those two fly away together? However, she had already come this far. Other than divorce, what other path did she have? She raised her head slightly and looked at the time on the wall. It would be midnight in a few minutes. At this moment, she suddenly subconsciously thought of the girl she had met in the parking lot that day and her promise. She couldn't help but smile bitterly. She slowly opened the drawer and took out a divorce agreement with trembling hands. At this time, the door was suddenly pushed open from the outside. Yang Juanhao, who hadn't been home for more than half a month, was standing at the door, staring at her with bloodshot eyes. His gaze made Qin Shengyue's heart ache. "Didn't I say I would give you an answer tomorrow? You can't even wait one night?" The next second, Yang Juanhao dropped to his knees in front of her and slapped himself hard. He hugged her legs and said, "Wifey, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Please." Qin Shengyu, at that moment, a voice suddenly sounded in Qin Shengyue's mind, "I promise I'll make your husband cry when he comes back to find you. He'll slap himself while begging for your forgiveness." Then, her cell phone suddenly rang. She received a new message. "Miss Qin, please give me a 5-star review if you're satisfied. Zealing." The next night, in a private room of the Imperial Hotel, Qin Shengyu finally sized up the girl in front of her. How did you do it?" I asked Jun Hao for the reason, but he didn't say anything. He just kept saying that he was wrong and begged me to forgive him. This was within Ning Shi's expectation. As a man, how could Yang Juanhao tell his wife that he was cheated on by a mistress? Nothing special. "I just hired a man to hook up with Yang Shiru and let your husband catch her on the spot." Ning Shi explained simply. "You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."